For the Players, the pop culturist PlayStation podcast is fueled by the Man Shake. I lost 30 kilos in 10 months using this meal replacement shake. If you want to support the show and max in my weight loss journey, or to even start your own, click the link in the description below. The Man Shake. Real blokes, real results.
For the Players.
I'm Ryan Betson.
I'm Max Cooper.
And this is For the Players, the pop culturist PlayStation podcast with the 40 years of playing PlayStation, 8+ years in that games meeting. But I'd like to thank you for joining us in this PlayStation conversation.
This PlayStation conversation happens every Monday morning at 8 a.m. on podcast services, including Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and 9 a.m. on those YouTubes. If you'd like to take part in future conversations with us, come and check out our socials. Facebook, Discord, Instagram, and Twitter. All of those links can be found in the description below.
If you want to join us as the conversation happens, head over to twitch.tv/thepopcultures, where you can watch us record this show live, where you can jump in the chat and become part of the show. If you want to support the show, you can. Tell your friends, tell your family about this PlayStation pod. If you are on podcast services, be sure to give us a 5-star rating and a written review. If you are on YouTube, like, subscribe, leave a comment below. I endeavor to answer every single comment. If you want to support us financially, you can at patreon.com/thepopcultures, as well as our merchandise store, popcultures.com/shop, where you can buy shirts and other assorted shit with our logos on it. If you want to support us in other cool ways, though, you can go see us when we guest on other shows, just like Max did yesterday.
Yeah, so I was lucky enough to hang out with a friend of the show, Shane Magicast, on the question box, and it was a fantastic time.
Is it? It
so
is.
Much fun, yeah. It was great.
So I did it a couple of weeks ago. Friend of the show, Paj, did it a couple of weeks ago as well. It's just cool to be in this cool circle of people.
I get a message like, "Hey, Showcase is coming up. Do you want to come and chat?" I'm like, "Yeah, I want to come and chat Showcase." sounds great. What a week to be on.
The week lined up near on perfect, eh? But no, it's great. So I did say this to you. I'm just kicking off straight off the gate. I did say this to you in a private message, but like, it's insane to see how far you've come in the podcast game, because like you and I have been friends for years. I think as long as my wife and I have known each other, that's like near on a decade. Probably is over a decade now. And like no point had you ever considered going into content or B, like podcasting. And then when Josh left and you and I were bullshit, and you're like, I'll give it a go. From memory, that's the conversation went. I was like, sure, let's try it.
I'm pretty sure that was the exact wording. I was like, well, if you need someone, I can.
Yeah, and you filled in for a couple episodes, and then you dipped your toes, and look at you now. You are being like requested externally. You fucking made it, son.
This is it. I've peaked.
No, the point I'm making is, as I said, for what it's worth, obviously you should be prouder than me, but I am very proud that you've been able to do that, and like not just deliver in this show every week, but then go elsewhere and deliver as well, because you've guested a handful of times now.
Yeah, no, it's always fun mixing it up. Getting that different team dynamic, and everyone interacts with different people in a completely different way. It makes you think differently. It's an interesting experience, and one that I'm very grateful for.
Yeah, because Shane stumped the shit out of me when I was in there, because like when you and I, because we got that flow down, right? Like not that I never get questioned, because you pull my shit up all the time, but like very rarely do we get kind of stumped. And he's like, "Hey, here's a curveball," and I went, "Oh, I've never thought of that. Oh, fuck, dang."
Yeah, it's always nice to get different perspectives.
Yeah, and that's the best part about going and checking it out. So that show is called The Question Box. It is on it's on Twitch, and you can see it recorded live on Fridays. It's also on YouTube. I believe it's on podcast services as well. So that's magic_casts, and the show called, as I said, The Question Box. Each and every week, Shane chats with someone from the Australian and New Zealand community, the content creation community, to chat about the big topics of the week. And Max, you got the biggest topic of the week, which is great.
Yeah, I got super lucky. Yeah.
We're chatting about that very, very soon. Max, How has your week been aside from smashing other shows?
Yeah, it hasn't been too bad actually. It's been just a pretty casual week. It's my first full week back at work this week, so that was. I've realized how awesome 3-day weeks were.
Yeah. Oh man.
But it's been fine. Work's pretty slow at the moment because obviously they're still because I'm working in an office building. They're still capped at like 50% capacity or whatever. So it's not too bad. And my wife's had this week off work, so we've been chilling, trying to enjoy the sunny days that we've had this week. I've been just doing laps of the river down near our house because we take our kid down there and she runs amok, runs up and down the hill constantly. Always good fun. And it's nice having just fresh air and not being locked up in a house.
Yeah, we're yet to do the big wander onto the outside at the moment. So hopefully,
it's so busy. Everyone's doing it. Everyone's tasted that freedom that we've gotten since midnight Thursday, and everyone's just going crazy.
Which is another reason why I haven't. So for those who don't know, because we seem to have COVID fucking updates at the start of every show, because of the life we live here in Melbourne, in Victoria. So we're in regional Victoria out in Geelong. So we had restrictions ease up this week. But my concern is exactly as you said, is that every bastard will just flock out. So I was like, we're surviving the way we are. Let's believe it.
I mean, yesterday we wanted to go to Kmart to get some stuff for Hadley, and we're like, oh, we'll drive out to Leopold, so about 30 minutes out of town. We're like, oh, maybe it won't be so busy because we're going out of Geelong. Every single park was full, including all the car parks at the Bunnings, all the car parks at the shopping centre. Everything was full. Couldn't even get a park. Yeah. So we just turned around and went, nah, we're good.
Yeah, that's my. I'm like, because there's a couple of shops that I've been wanting to go to because they're things I wanted to buy, but I wanted to see them in person before I did it. Clothes primarily, right? Because especially now with this hodgepodge of sizes after losing weight, like I'm really unsure what's where, so I need to go and literally try it on if I can. So I've been holding off on because as the weather gets better, I need to get some new shorts. So I was like, let's get some fucking hot short action. I don't know what size I am depending on the store anymore. So. But yeah, so I'll go check it out eventually. But yeah, no, I'm happy to stay at home for the moment.
Yeah,
as I said, because with nature of both our jobs, we just keep surviving. So we go with theirs. Oh, Mod B, Bees though in the chat, another member of the Manshake community has subscribed with the tier 1. Thank you very much, my friend. I really appreciate that. But yeah, no, my week's about the same, man. Just working.
Yep.
As we transition into the new setup, the new design of my department, I have been sheets of paper on a wall, highlighting and writing. I look like not a beautiful mind, but just slightly above average mind. Yep. Yeah. I'm getting the red strings like Pepe Silvia. I'm having all these conspiracy.
But you had a day off this week, didn't you?
Oh, I did have a day off this week. Totally forgot about that because the rest of my week was.
Cannot believe I'm bringing this up, but
I did. So this week I got Monday off because my boss's boss was like, Ryan, you're working too many extra hours, and because your salary, we can't just give you more money. So take a day off, no pay. So you get paid, just no leave, just fucking take a day. I'm like, sweet, and I'm taking Monday off then. He's like, what? That was fast.
Guess what? Not coming in tomorrow. See you later.
It's pretty much like I'm not coming in Monday.
I'm going home right now, and I'm not coming back tomorrow.
Yeah, so because Monday was AEW's All Out, which was a pay-per-view and maybe one of the best pay-per-views I've ever seen in my entire life. Because it was just from front to back amazing. It hit all the beats. There's a bunch of surprise arrivals with Adam Cole, baby, as well as Bryan Danielson popped up, which was fantastic. But I don't know, we're not here to talk about that. If you want to hear about that, you can in the return of the Young and the Wrestlers. That's the second show that we make here on the PopC. That is hosted by Jem and myself. After some time away, because the WWE is trash, Jem and I, we've come back, we've rebranded, we are now All Elite. And that's what our show is moving forward. It's us looking at the week in AEW rather than WWE because they're just a better company and they're better people and it's more exciting.
far be it for me to extend this topic of conversation, but do they have like multiple shows throughout the week, or is
They
it just
do. So
one?
they have a couple of shows. So they have their Thursday. So it's Thursday for us, but it's Wednesday night Dynamite, and then on Friday they have Rampage. So it's Thursday morning for us and Saturday morning. But then they also have 2 YouTube shows which are free. There's Dark and Dark Elevation. So that's essentially their up and comers. Then they also have BTE, which is like a YouTube series, which is like a very vlog based, a lot of skits, a lot of promos in there. So a lot of the bullshit promos that you would normally get on WWE, they do them on the YouTube and then have more fun with it because they can do whatever they want because it's not on TV. So they're swearing and it's silly and it's dumb, you know. So like we're not going to cover all of it because like Dark and Dark Elevation, like they're all the up and comers and it's a great way to see them do matches, but it's not entirely what I'm wanting to look for.
Of course.
So for us, it'll mostly be Dynamite and Rampage. But yeah, that's enough wrestling talk, Max. What have you been playing this week?
I have.
Oh, you're that shocked.
Just die a little bit. I have been playing with thanks to Bandai Namco Australia. I have been playing the new Tales of Arise. I'm about 4 hours deep, so I'm still very early game. This is their latest big JRPG. From what I hear, it's like a 50-hour epic. So I'm very, 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 very early. There's so much to do. I keep getting distracted. Very early on in the game, you find a cooking pot, and it's like, hey, if you make food, you'll get bonuses. And I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna spend like an hour searching for ingredients to cook like mad food. But the game kicks off strong. It's very it's the latest in the Tales series, which is I think celebrating their 25th anniversary this year. So it comes from a long lineage of games. I'm having a lot of fun with it. I'm not going to say too much about the story because I don't know it yet. I am very, very early in. I've seen basically the opening cinematic, which is absolutely fantastic. The music behind it is brilliant. It's a standard party system for combat where except you only control one character. It's real-time battles, not turn-based. So there's a combo system. You have basic attacks which add onto your arts abilities, which are like your special attacks, and you can combo them into combo them in with normal attacks. You get they've got a cap on it though, so you can't just spam your favorite special attack because it has essentially diminishing returns if you don't use other attacks in your combo. So you can't just constantly do the same thing to get away with it. Again, I'm about 4 or 5 hours in, so I can't say much, but this game is really.
But so with the 25 years of lineage approximately for Tales, I know you've spent some time with previous Tales games.
Yeah, so
how are you feeling about it now? Like, is it feeling like visually, gameplay wise? It's real time.
Visually, I mean, visually, it doesn't even compare to what the last title I played was, I believe, the 2016 one. So it's been quite a significant break between games for me. The visuals are absolutely stunning. Again, the music design in the game is absolutely incredible at the moment. It's got that it did something similar to what they did earlier in the year in Scarlet Nexus, where it kind of I think they refer to them as skits in this. Basically, they're like mini cutscenes where characters are interacting with each other, and it does that comic book strip aesthetic. And then for the more informative or bigger set pieces, they do a fully animated cutscene. They're really, really well done. And then for just simple like text dialogue, it's just the standard 2 characters on screen together, it's sharing their dialogue. Nothing too fancy, but it's nice to separate those 3 distinct things for the skits and cutscenes, that they've got 3 different ways of presenting that information to you. All of those can also be reconsumed during the game. So you have campsites for resting, and when you're at a campsite, there's an option to reminisce, and you can kind of re-watch and re-go through content that you either missed, didn't quite catch the first time, so you can rewatch those cutscenes, make sure you caught everything, and even in real time while you're exploring the maps or doing things, you'll get a little prompt in the bottom right hand corner to hit a button, and it'll prompt a skit, and it'll stop or pause the gameplay. Essentially, it'll play out this skit of the characters interacting with each other, and then it'll put you back into where you're going to and play through. So far, there's only one issue I'm having with the game, and I don't know if it's something that's in the settings that can be changed. I haven't looked yet, but the default setting for quest tracking is it'll give you a golden star icon on your screen, so you can go, so you know where you're going. But that golden star only seems to appear on the map if you're on the same map as the quest. So if you're in a different area and you have to travel between maps to get to that area, it doesn't indicate which direction you should be going. There's no golden star sitting there to show.
So you have to kind of remember what maps connect to what, otherwise you have no idea.
So you can pull up your big map. I've worked out how to do that. And you can kind of see where you need to go, and the quest is easily accessible, so you can reread through where you need to go. But it's not until you actually get to the proper map that the quest is on that indicator will show.
Okay.
Not that that's a big issue, but at the time I didn't realize that, and I got lost for a little while. But that was, also on me for not reading the instructions properly.
That's all right. So in the chat, Shane jumps in and goes, Benji Sales has tweeted that peak concurrent players on Steam for Arise is higher than every other Tales game combined. So Tales of Arise is sitting at 45,000 plus. Cysteria is 9696. Nice. Brazaria is 8085. Vesperia DE is 3450. And Symphonia is 1414. So I presume this is right now, or upon release, because I doubt that only 1,400 people played Symphonia on release.
From what I've heard, also, depending on how well this game sells, there is that possibility of remastering the older ones and making them more modern. So that would be really exciting for me personally if that was the case.
Well, I'm glad you're enjoying it, because this is the most non-Betson game that's ever Betson gamed. So even the potential luring of farming made me go, nah, bro.
Yeah, I tried to lure you in with. I'm like, it's got farming. I don't know how hardcore the farming is, but it's got farming.
Yeah, no, it's going to take me a little bit to cross that line into the threshold.
Well, I will also point out that Bandai Namco did provide me with a copy of the Deluxe Edition. So coming with the Deluxe Edition, it does come with all the DLC costumes, which are all cosmetic only. So they're just cosmetic, basically overlay skins that you can put on. So no matter what gear you're wearing, you look a certain way, which is awesome. It does also come with an XP booster, a currency booster that allows you to sell higher in the shops. All of these things I have downloaded, but they can all be turned off. I am playing with them all turned off. I have yet to, I know, again, I'm very early in the game, but I've yet to hit essentially a brick wall from being too low a level. I feel that there are enough monsters on each of the areas where you don't have to sit there and farm XP to stay of level. There's the XP is still generous already. There is side quests that you can do that will obviously give you extra XP, but so far I've yet to hit that. I can't progress on the main story because I haven't killed enough mobs to be off level.
Okay, that's good.
I just wanted to point that out that you can purchase those. So far I haven't found them necessary, and I haven't been using them. So
we did get it a couple of days before release, but nowhere near enough time to really sink your teeth into, as you said.
Yeah.
So there will be an ongoing review over the next couple of weeks, as Max spends more time with the title and adds to his thoughts.
Yes.
Anything else you've been jamming to?
That's pretty much it. I mean, I'm still playing Destiny 2. I'm currently mid-run of Hades. But other than that, no, that's pretty much it. Tales of Arise has been the big one this week. I've dipped my toe back into Ghost of Tsushima Legends now that the masterworking system's out. So I've done a few of the master challenges to upgrade some of my equipment. The challenges seem pretty fun. Most of them are fairly straightforward. The few that I've had were like kill X amount of enemies with headshots, dismantle X amount of legendary pieces of gear. They've now introduced cursed items. Cursed items allow you to skip a step in the masterworking section, so you can, but you just have to cleanse the item first. So I had one that was every time you hit an enemy with a bow, you'll be poisoned, and you need to cure that poison 5 times to cleanse this. So they're very easy. They're very easily obtainable, and it's just an extra layer of fun for those to do inside those missions or survival waves.
Yeah. So I'm still. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, and one last thing. I am still a massive fan that they dropped the survival wave cap to 15 on all difficulties. Those were long enough they're long enough at 15. They used to be 25 waves, and that was a slog.
Ew.
So thank you for shortening those.
So I myself, have been spending time in Ghost of Tsushima. I played for a couple of hours today, specifically, as well as throughout the week. It has been my little sort of game that I've chipped at here and there. Still haven't got to Iki because I am just distracted by everything else. I haven't even done any campaign shit. Exactly what I said I shouldn't do is exactly what I've done. I mean,
it is hard. It's really hard to not be distracted in that game.
Like, I just pull up stuff and then I just wander over and find foxes and fucking hot springs and cut bamboo, and like I'm spending so much unnecessary amount of time just avoiding main story or even any story. I'm like, oh, it's a side story. I don't know. There is a shrine over here. I might go there instead. You know what I mean? And that's what I end up doing instead. I just kind of like fuck off and go piss fart around instead. So look, the game is still absolutely stunning. I think I'm connecting to it because the gameplay feels better now, especially in that higher frame rate. So for me, I'm like, oh, quick, I'm gonna go and just sword fight things because I feel that I'm more responsive. I feel that I'm more fluid. There are times between actions where just the increase in frames makes it feel like that there is a bit more room to move. If that makes sense.
Yeah. No, I completely agree.
So like that's kind of what I've been doing. Other than that, I did a little bit of rootin' tootin' cowboy shooting, mostly because they had the gun. Was it the gun club? The Quick Draw Club. So, for over a month, it's kind of like their seasons in Rocket League, I guess, as an example. They have the Quick Draw Club. So over these X amount of days, if you just get a certain amount of XP and just by playing the game, you get a bunch of extra cosmetics and gold bars. So the draw club itself costs about 25 gold bars, but you will make that back in the month if you collect all of them, which is kind of cool, which is smart because it then makes you buy it again the next month. So here, Craig and I, we friend of the show, Craig, the Mallet Show. He and I did the first round, through it just fine. Second round, because we've not been playing it as much because we've been watching Sons of Anarchy together, I didn't make the cap. I was just short the 25 levels. I think I got like 19 or 20 or something. Because I went back in to be like, oh shit, I got to run that through. And it's like, it's already rolled over into the third. I'm like, no. But to its credit though, I can buy it at any time and it will fill what I've done. So if I play it and then I just go, oh shit, I've got like 2 days left of it. I'm pretty much there. I'll spend the gold bars now. I'll buy the thing. It goes, we know since that day.
It retroactively.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Yeah, retroactively gives you all the benefits, which I really appreciate because for those that can't really, if you just happen to get enough over the month, you're like, oh sweet, right? Well then I'll do it. But if you know that you're not going to, you're not going to spend the gold. Yeah. Additionally, I've been jamming some Hades as well, similar to yourself. Still can't get past that Minotaur fuck. But I did. I took him out. Well, I thought I did, and he just kind of wandered off. And then I end up finding him in a room with a dude with a shield. I'm like, I couldn't beat you by yourself, mate. Why do you have a friend? So my genuine worry is that I don't think I'll ever finish this game, because by the time I get to Elysium and get to the Minotaur, I am fucked. Straight fucked. So I'm not very confident that I'm going to get much further, which disappoints me. But I said the same thing about Returnal, and I quit that game. So I don't want to quit Hades because I really like Hades. It plays more fun for me. I still jump in occasionally. Yeah. I'll still jump in occasionally, and maybe just maybe I'll get really lucky, kind of like the run I had where I just happened to get like what's the highest thing? A heroic epic?
Oh yeah. One of the purple boons.
Whatever the highest, whatever the
boons,
gold boon is, I happen to get that where my spear becomes like the best thing in the world. So I'm just pressing triangle and just yeeting that shit around. Everything's just blowing up. It was amazing. And then of course one of the final rooms before I got to the Minotaur was like, hey, here's 2 high level bosses. Get fucked. And then so I didn't get. If I got to him with that spear, I think I would have got it. But I did pick up some games though. This week I did there was a little bit of an independent sale or a bit of a sale on. I picked up Little Dragon's Cafe, which is a game that I've been wanting to grab for a while because it's made by the gentleman behind Harvest Moon. He kind of went off and did this little side game, so it's like running a cafe with a little dragon. Apparently the gameplay loop kind of overstays its welcome, which I'm like, but I haven't played it yet. I picked it up for like $6. I was like, cool, maybe this is the time. And then things start coming out, and I was like, oh, maybe this isn't the time, but I think it might be.
This is definitely not the time. There is so much stuff this month.
But I'm very lucky, because once again, the nature of what we do is we have to pick and choose what we do, and that means we don't have to play everything that comes out, which is good. So we get to pick the things we want to play, and we may still pick ourselves into pain. But...
I may already have.
Yeah. But yeah, so like that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'll probably just keep chipping away at Ghosts until something else comes in. Because I think what we've got, you got Ghost. You got Trials of Arise right now. Well, Death Stranding in a couple of weeks.
Death Stranding in a couple of weeks. We've got Deathloop in a couple of days.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot.
It's an interesting time. But before we get into the main part of the show, Max, we have a section we call our Get Less Fat Update. For those of you that don't know, over 2020, over this whole pandemic, I have lost over 35 kilos using a product called the Man Shake. It's a meal replacement shake that I am an ambassador for. So they help support us. They help support this show. And Max himself has even started a weight loss journey throughout this year where he's lost the better part of 15 kilos. Max, how goes your week in the weight loss side of things?
It's been pretty good. The back end of this week, I've gotten back on my shakes. I have rediscovered that, like beer, the last mouthful is atrocious if it's even slightly warm.
Yeah.
Because as I mentioned earlier, we've been going for walks along the river near my house with my kid. So I took my shake with me, drinking in the car on the way down there, going along my walk, still drinking it. 5 minutes later, I'm just like, no. So I'm going like the tiniest bit left at the bottom. It's like too warm.
Yeah, no, it does. The shake is so much better the more the colder it is.
And because I use a little bit more water than is recommended because I like mine a little bit more juicy. But I also blend mine. I don't shake it. So that in itself does tend to heat it up a little bit.
Yeah, it kind of aerates it differently as well.
Yeah, so... But no, it's good. I'm still killing the chocolate and coffee. That's the way to go. The caramel, I've decided, is just way too sweet for me.
Yeah.
In saying that, I'm almost at the end of that bag. Because caramel coffee was my jam for a good time. But as New puts in the chat, 400 to 500 mils of water, blend it, chuck it back in the fridge. Yeah, unfortunately, I stupidly blended it and went, oh, I'm running late, and walked out the door with it. I didn't have the chance to chance to read on. Maybe I should start putting ice in them.
Yeah, you put you put ice in it, and it comes like a frappe. It's amazing.
Or like frozen fruit. I have frozen fruit. I don't know why to like put some frozen bananas in it or something.
Oh, you lost me. You had me for a second there, then you lost me. But look, I'm in the same boat. Like I have been doing this for so long that my routine is just on the same, right? Yeah. Like I know I get up in the morning and put my shakes. The beat by beat is just so second nature to me now. Like I am the only thing that I am really missing right now is the gym. I'm missing it so bad. Like I can feel my body not being as good. Like yes, I could probably do some yoga or something here, and like the man challenge comes up soon.
Are you still doing? Were you still doing that? What was it? DDT yoga?
The DDP yoga? No, I haven't done it in a little while. But I think I might. So additionally, there is the man challenge. So about twice a year, the Man Shake does put a sort of a fitness challenge together. It's about 30 days. It's starting on the 20th of this month. I'll get you a code, Max. So the idea is that each day you follow the meal plan, you do these little exercises, and at the end of the month you should see a substantial difference just by doing it. There's 3 levels. It's like beginner, intermediate, and intense. So like you can shape it and you can swap it at any time. So if you're starting to feel a little bit easier, you're like, well, I'm going to chuck it in the intermediary, and you go, oh, that was a bad call, and you can scale it back. So it's kind of like, some intense, and then like a yoga, and then something intense again, then like a Pilates, and then some stretching. Just kind of a mix of different kinds of fitnessy things, and you get that for free if you just do a month's order, which is a standard order, like the 4 bags or whatever. You will get it. If not, I think it's $99 by itself. But yeah, I will because the Man Shake is a supporter of the show. I'll be like, hey man, you sent me one. Can you get Max one?
That sounds awesome.
That'll be cool to chat about on the show as part of this update. But if you want to support us on our weight loss journey, or maybe even start your own, you can by clicking the link in the description. It is bit.ly/FTP Manshake. I could just make it the popculture.com/manshake. I don't know how to do that. But now that our IT friend Joel that helped design our page is back, he's back in the world, I'd be like, hey, how do I do this? Because Bitly links are stupid.
Didn't you break the website earlier this week and Joel fixed it?
100% broke it this week. No, I fixed it myself. So I was
I heard Joel fixed it. That's what I heard. Yeah,
Joel gave me some advice, but I still fixed it. So I was deleting old episodes of Young and the Restless because with the change, they aren't.
Just wanted completely disassociate yourself from WWE. It's we're not with them anymore at all.
Additionally, the content, because of its week by week design, it's not evergreen, right?
Yeah, true.
So I was like, well, no one's going back to listen to them. We've shifted the show. Let's get rid of them. Let's clear up some server space. Apparently, I was clearing them too fast for the website to keep up, and went, hang on, fuck. And then it got stuck in this feedback loop where it's trying to find something, and it couldn't break the loop. And so the website went down for a minute. I'm like, uh-oh. So I essentially had to go through the back end, through some servery way that I happened to know, because there was for a while there it wouldn't let us upload directly to the WordPress. Pardon me, I burped and hiccuped at the same time. I had to go back in there, delete it, and the second that I deleted the file in there, it went, oh, we can't find the file, sweet, and then it stopped looping. Yeah, so that was an experience. But if you want to support our journey, start your own, you can. Link in the description below. bit.ly/FTP/manshake. You don't have to fucking buy anything. Just clicking on the link and having a look around gives us some support, and maybe you yourself can make some lifestyle changes. Max, let's get into the news. Is this actually called Inform the Players, where we tell you about what happened this week in PlayStation, and it's a pretty fucking easy one. Plan right now is we are just going to talk about the PlayStation Showcase. It happened Friday morning, so yesterday morning at the time of recording, a couple of days ago for those watching as it goes up on the services, 6 a.m. So I got up at I was actually really wanting to get up. I woke up at 2:30, woke up at 3:30, then I woke up at 4:30, went, fuck it, I'm just going to get up. Got up, had a shower, had a coffee, sat down in here. I was joined by a friend of the show, Paul James from Player 2. He joined myself in the stream. You were there in the chats because you were working.
And, I was, yeah.
Yeah, and so let's go through the beats the beats that it went through, and then we'll get into our overall thoughts, opinions. Actually, or do you want to give a preface of how we feel about it before?
No, yeah, we can do that if you want.
Okay. Well, what's your preface?
I'll let you lead this one because I think we've got vastly different opinions on how good this showcase was.
So, I didn't come out hot at all. We'll get into the nitty gritty as to why, but like, for me, I left going, that was kind of disappointing. Yes, there were some good things in there. However, as from an overall perspective, it really kind of fell short. Like, as we'll get into it, like they opened up with something great, but even then it's a teaser for something that is who fucking knows when it's coming. Like, to me, that is Elder Scrolls 6 level announcement, because we have no idea when. It could be years away from all we know, and it sounds like it could be. And then they back end it with a handful of announcements, with 2 of them that are 2 years plus, right? So the idea of here's what's coming up in the next 12 months was kind of the pitch of it, right? They spend time covering something that's coming out next week. Was it though? Yeah, no, that was the pitch.
Wasn't their pitch just the future of PlayStation?
It was future now and beyond was kind of the idea, right? So
I mean, that doesn't necessarily cap it at 18 months. Like, beyond is still 2 years away.
Yes, but if they do these every 12 months, then the indication, the precedent that they've established is 12 months. Right? Because there are limited state of plays throughout the year, the precedent is that this is the next 12 months. Because come this time next year, we'll have another showcase for you, and then we'll show you the next 12 months. Right? Because Sony, up until like, they have stepped away from showing things way in the future. They've made that, as towards the back end of the PS4, they had made that decision. Like, let's not go too far, because people don't like that. Right? So instead, in a change of leadership and a change of design, they have gone, no, let's show them shit that's coming in a handful of years.
Well, I'd like to point out, just to counter your point, that last PlayStation showcase, we saw Horizon Forbidden West, still not out, so that's 2 years. We've seen...
No, it's been a year.
Oh, it just a bit more than a year, sorry, yeah. We saw God of War, that teaser, that short teaser.
Said 2021, so they dated it at the time.
Final Fantasy 16 didn't show here. Don't know when it's coming.
Yeah, that's a ballsy one. Yeah, but that's the second party deal. I'm talking first party primarily, but no, I see your point.
Yeah.
Your point is correct.
Little Devil Inside. Don't know.
Yeah, I don't believe with that.
Don't know when it's coming.
Nah, no idea.
Stray obviously was shown in the last.
Has
been dated. Got pushed. Pragmata. Have no idea what's going on with that.
That one did say like 2023. They did bury the lead on that one pretty quickly, because that was Project 8th. No, that was Forspoken.
No, that was Forspoken.
Yeah.
Pragmata was the space
weird one.
That I think
they did clearly say 2023 in that one, or 2022. Yep. Like, they very clearly said it's like years away. So that's
obviously years away. What else was there that I'm missing? It was Goodbye Volcano High, which obviously got recently delayed, and we know when that's coming.
My argument to some of those things is the pandemic. The pandemic has shifted that. Yeah. So Horizon Forbidden West should be out now.
Yeah.
My understanding is that now is where it should be, but it's a couple in the line. However,
overall, though, my impression of the showcase was it was fine, but I don't know why they didn't just separate this into 2 state of plays, one for the third parties, one for the exclusives.
Yeah, so that's because that's kind of my point as well. Is like, when we have state of plays throughout the year, like when you can sprinkle things, a showcase to me believes that we're gonna blow your fucking mind. And you should be leaving requiring new pants. You should be sweating from the brow. You should need a cigarette. Right? That's what they should be doing to you. And because Sony has been quiet for so long, not the expectations were high, but they're like, well, if you have been so quiet, you're clearly banking it, right? I've come out of this going, they don't fucking know. From a first party perspective, they don't know. They're very confident in one studio, but other than that, we don't know. But
yeah, go. Sorry.
I was gonna say I'll let you preface, and then we'll start breaking it down.
So that was one of the points that I made last night with Shane on the question box. Was my concern is that they just don't have anything to show. They realized that they needed to show something. They're like, let's do a showcase, but we've still got nothing. Like I mentioned last night, this could have been two state of plays, 20 minutes each. You cover the third party stuff in one, you cover your exclusives in the other. There was some. I mean, we'll get to it in the breakdown, but there was some weird, just like we knew something had a date at one point, and then all of a sudden it's now dated next year, and they decided to like just sneaky drop that announcement in the middle of the showcase.
See, I would agree with you because like there are a couple of Starfield-esque Elder 6 Scribe Hail Marys in here. Like shit, we have nothing. So like Bethesda did, shit, we have nothing. Let's give them what we know will get them excited. So people will come out. The average consumer will come out happy. And I am very aware that the way I look at this showcase is very different because I'm thinking in a different perspective. And of course, my inherent cynicism is
like I think I also made this point last night that in the nature of the content that we create, I want information constantly. Yeah. But as a fan, I don't want to know that Elder Scrolls 7 is coming in 10 years' time. I don't want to wait 10 years. Announce something that's coming out in that 6 to 18 month window. Don't be like, here it is. It's coming in probably 2025, maybe.
Yeah, and that's what I feel like a couple of.
I don't care. And that's that weird line that we straddle of, as fans, we want things to come out sooner, but as creators, we do like that information that is helpful.
Yeah, but it's not as if we want it to come out now. We want to have something that can have information, right? Because right now we'll get to there's one game in particular that I can only presume is so far out. So and it's the same problem that Bethesda have, right? Every conversation that anyone will ever have with that studio between now and when it releases is, when's this? But so every conversation, Bethesda could do anything, and they're like, what about Elder Scrolls 6 though? Like, no, but we're here to talk about fucking Deathloop and Ghostwire. Yeah, but Elder Scrolls 6 though. Like, can you fuck off? Like, because like now that they've acknowledged its existence, is all they will hear, and all that's going to do is make people agitated and make people agitated and frustrated, and people will burn out on the idea of that IP before it even comes out. Anyway, do you have any more preface before we break to the beat by beat?
Let's get into it.
All right, beautiful. So the show does kick off with the Knights of the Old Republic remake. You've got the essentially the key face of it, whose name I can never remember.
Yeah, no, I haven't played it in like a bajillion of years, so I also do not remember the dude.
So it's not actual gameplay. It's clearly a CG'd thing, which tends to happen. It's a silhouette of a Sith in a cloak, comes through, ignites the lightsaber. It looks fantastic. It's been made by Aspire, so it does confirm the rumor mill that we've heard for the longest time about a KOTOR remake. However, one thing that we did not anticipate was that it was to be a console launch exclusive on the PS5, and it's coming to PC, of course. Additionally, the trailer opened with the Sony Interactive Entertainment Presents, which is something that that's a branding that Sony cut away from about a year or so ago, which indicates this deal has been around for a while. Which is exciting. Now, I've never played KOTOR personally because it was on Xbox at the time.
Xbox at the time, yeah.
Additionally, I do have it on PC. However, it's so old, I can't play it. Like when I bought it, it was like so far away from when it released. I'm like, this is rough.
It is the greatest Star Wars game, in my opinion, ever made. But it did not age well.
No.
Like it is a real rough play now. The story still holds up, but it is a rough play. And I had this conversation last night that I don't know if I want them to completely modernize it, akin to like Final Fantasy VII Remake, where they rejigger the entire combat, or I just want that sweet facelift. Just make it pretty and leave it exactly as it was.
I think it's going to vary. I think it's going to have to be
I mean, the optimal choice is let me do both.
It's gonna have to be a mix of the two, and the reason being,
a classic mode and give me a new mode, yeah.
Like, so, because when I think back to when I think about games that like Star Wars games, right? An example, even being Jedi Fallen Order, or even like the Jedi Knight, Jedi Academy, Jedi Outcast series, right? Whenever you have a lightsaber and you go into combat, you're just flailing, and then the game kind of has to guess that you're hitting. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't have the fluidity or the beauty of what you see a lightsaber battle to be. It's just frantic. Yeah. Like, even in Fallen Order, which handled it so much better because of using the design of that Souls-esque combat, allows for a bit more strategic. So when you did decide to hit, the hits matter, right?
Yeah.
But there were moments where you just like, I'm just going to flail my lightsaber at this creature. If it gets in my way, it's fucking done. So adding a turn-based setup to that could allow for a nice, a nice bit more of a clear flurry rather than just getting on someone's shit. And I do think that, especially with like Final Fantasy VII, I believe the way they handled that semi-turn-based, semi-action was really good.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that might be a good blend to go in there. The mullet show in the chat adds it's like going back to Mass Effect 1. Spot on, because Mass Effect 1 came out after this from memory.
Yeah.
So it's even older than Mass Effect 1. But once again, this was one. This is a Hail Mary way. Like, we need to open big. Let's go with this, because this fucker is not out in the foreseeable future.
No, not at all.
You know what I mean? So all the things that we'll get to them, all the things that people are excited about are just they're ways away.
They're so far away.
Next,
I'm glad I'm glad you have these in order, because I do not.
I wrote them down. That's why I took notes during the presentation.
What a nerd!
Shut up. Next up was Project Eve, which was cool. Like, it started with some very gratuitous butt and vagina shots of this person flipping around, very Bayonetta style, very
this was feeling. The Bayonetta Nier Automata
Devil May Cry,
to beat 'em up.
A lot of cool imagery for me is what I got out of this. An example being, it starts in a space station. She gets yeeted through the wall. She's in space. She looks up and sees a space station with a giant eye on it and a bunch of wings. It kind of looks like what the imagery of what an angel should be. Like, it's like, oh, angels, these white things would be like, no, by like the description from in certain ways, it's just a fucking eye and wings, and it's disgusting looking, right? It's real horrifying shit. That's what it looked like for me. So some great imagery in here. I certainly don't think it's a Betson game. Probably a Max game.
Probably.
I did feel it kind of hung out a little bit longer. Project Eve, is capital like EVE. Is this some sort of connected to Parasite Eve, an old PlayStation 1 game? Like, is it a softy reboot because it's made by a Step Up? I think it was. I don't know. This seems more like a Max game.
Yeah. So this was the one I missed. This was literally the one trailer that I missed during the showcase. I haven't gone back to watch the whole thing. It looked interesting. I don't believe it got dated.
It did not get dated, no.
So, I mean, we at least saw gameplay in that trailer.
That's true, we
by
did.
the look of it.
From potentially what I've heard, back end of next year.
So, it's at least in the foreseeable future.
Yeah. But yeah, even some of the enemy designs really cool. Like these dudes with big, round, pointy heads, and she cranks it, and fucking blood splits everywhere. Like from a design aesthetic, and very similar to Scarlet Nexus, I guess. Where I look at it and I go, "Oh shit, I kind of like what they're presenting." I don't think I'll play it. I don't think I will like how it plays, but I at least like how it looks.
Yeah.
One thing that I didn't like how it looks, which is weird because the art style isn't different. It just doesn't age well in a high definition world. Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. So this is a essential spin-off to Borderlands. It's based on the character of Tiny Tina. She's essentially role-playing, like tabletop role-playing, but with guns. So
this is their second foray into this, because obviously Borderlands 2 had what was it? Tiny Tina's Assault on something or other, and it was basically a Dungeons and Dragons themed DLC for Borderlands 2.
Dope.
And it was literally the greatest thing in Borderlands 2. It was fantastic. I was a huge fan of Borderlands 1, Borderlands 2, all the DLCs. Borderlands 3 for me did not hit the mark.
No, same.
The humor was off. The gameplay was off a little bit. It just didn't have that, as weird as this sounds, it did not have that Borderlands feel to me.
It really did. So like the writing team were different, so the humor didn't land. Like it had that weird mix of like there were in Borderlands 1 and 2, like even the humor itself landed. Like and I know that's a very like the way it was written, there was an organicness to it that kind of, even though it was irreverent, it did kind of still work. Where I found, and there's another game that we'll talk about in here, it's very difficult to get very difficult to get humor in games.
Yeah.
Which is why like South Park: A Stick of Truth and South Park: A Fractured Butthole were so impressive because like the game makes you belly laugh when not many games do that anymore. Yeah.
So this has re-sparked my hopeful love of this franchise because it's essentially
The Bard's Tale says no. Is that what it was called?
No.
Drats.
But this is hopefully going to re-spark that love of Borderlands, especially if this is just essentially a larger content of that Borderlands 2 DLC.
Yeah, well, as a complete standalone game, I do imagine it's a lot more than that DLC for 2. I love the idea of it, especially around a tabletop role-playing game, which, now I'm more interested than I've ever been before, because, my day job, I'm surrounded by tabletop role-playing all the time. So I like that from an aesthetic point of view. I love the idea of you go in with guns into a fantasy world, very similar to Trigger Witch. And I don't see how that works.
They all had fun names, like, most of the... I mean, it was not so much the guns come to mind, but like all the grenade mods were like fireball, chain lightning, magic missile. Like it was all completely on the nose of exactly what you were doing.
Yeah, but like I said, admit like that part I like. I really find the cell shaded looked kind of gross.
Yeah, it doesn't age well. I like that look,
but it's not working for me here.
Yeah.
Reverend Puck coming through with all the facts. Tiny Tina's assault on Dragon Keep.
Yeah, that's the one.
There you go. Puck always comes through with the fucking deets. Things you need to know, they make happen. So that has been dated for the 25th of March 2022. So
essentially right around the corner.
6 months away. Not even. 6 months away. So that's a good time. 6 months is a great fucking window. Like,
now this isn't the first time we've seen this.
No,
but we have seen this previously, so it wasn't a surprise. But yeah,
first time it's been dated from memory, and that close date makes people go, "Oh, cool! I can still be excited about this. I can keep my eye out for things in the near future, and then we'll go from there." Next up was Forspoken. So this is a game written by Gary Whitta and Amy Hennig of Uncharted fame. It is made by Luminous, so that's the team that worked on Final Fantasy 15.
Yes.
That's it. That does check out. I think that checks out because they did Final Fantasy something. So. It's this cool looking game that like we have seen stuff about it before, but the basic premise is that you're this young girl in a modern day setting. She gets ripped through this giant space butthole, and then she rocks up in this fantasy land where she has the Shenshi 10 Rings cuff that talks to her. Kind of sounds like Troy Baker with an accent. There's like a lot of cool traversal, some kind of cool looking dragony monster things. What do you think, dude?
So this was shown off at the first showcase. It was a year ago.
Yeah, it looks different. I don't remember it because they must have. This must be so different.
It does look very different. So this the first splash screen. Obviously, it shows the Luminous. It shows the Square Enix, and then it showed this interesting picture of the environment, and I'm like, ooh. This is Final Fantasy.
Oh, I remember now. Yeah.
I was instantly in, and then it ended with the Project Athia title. I'm like, oh, cool. This could actually be a Final Fantasy game. Then I think a couple of months later, it's like, hey, this is Forspoken. This is what it is. I'm like, this is actually awesome. So we see here in the gameplay, you see her get ripped from that modern world into that fantasy world that you so eloquently put of through a space butthole. You see the very quick, you see that very quick, fast-paced traversal, and I think that we've seen that games can be made or broken by their traversal. And if this world is just fun to traverse,
Infamous as a game is built solely on its traversal. Sunset Overdrive, built both Insomniac games, oddly enough. And Spider-Man.
Infamous, Spider-Man, Prototype.
Yes.
Like all of those games had fun traversal, and it made you want to be in that world. And if this game, by the look of it, it's pulling it off for me already. If this game pulls it off, that alone can make this experience fun. And with the I believe it's a PlayStation 5 exclusive, so we're going to be able to move faster because everything's going to be able to load and render in faster. It's just going to be incredible. I mean, it looks flashy. The story from what we've seen looks interesting. The fact that it's written by Gary Whitta, Amy Hennig. There's a few other people that I know that their names don't come to mind, but I believe they wrote the TV series Shadowhunters for Netflix.
Oh, my wife loves that shit. On it. Yeah.
So it's got a decent team behind it, especially from a writing perspective. That has me interested alone.
Yeah. So for me, the thing that caught me off interested, I'm like, oh, this looks great. Like when you get into that fantasy world and then you start to see these big vistas, big landscapes, that's the shit that gets me excited, right? And what the future is. When you have the ability to make something feel massive, right? Yeah. That's what I want. Some of the writing was a little bit off. Like, whoa, did I do that? Like some of that cheesy shit was a bit meh. But like, I trust in Gary Whitta. Like, you gave me Rogue One for Christ's sake. Amy Hennig, you made Uncharted. I can't poop on you. Like, they're good shit. So like that list gets me excited. I will check it out. Similar to yourself, I think it ticks enough boxes for me to be like, you've got my interest. I'm not excited about it, but I'll check it out.
I mean, I'm a sucker for a Square Enix game, so
yeah. And that's coming spring US, so autumn for us in 2022. So somewhere between March and May. So once again, just packing the fuck out of the start of 2022. Next up, which was kind of unsurprising because I wouldn't have predicted that it was here. Rainbow Six Extraction. Gets a little bit of a story trailer. Not a lot of gameplay. A little bit of gameplay, but kind of like cinematic gameplay. Coming out in January of 2022. That's way sooner than I realized, or because I forgot. One of the two.
Did it not get pushed? Like it got pushed to that point, right? Yeah. It was originally this year.
Positive it was this year because I know it got renamed. It was originally supposed to be like Rainbow Six Pandemic or Parasite or something like that, or Quarantine. No, Quarantine. I think it was
Quarantine.
And they kind of rejiggered it a little bit.
Probably a smart choice.
I do like this. I love the premise of this, whether it be because my skills are non-existent, PvE is always more fun for me. So the idea of because I loved the characters when I have played Siege, because I have picked it up and I've played it and I've enjoyed it, but I just get decimated by everyone because everyone's better than me. But like I love the idea of the operators and each having their individual. They come in with specific shit. And then as a team, if you do not work as a team, you will not succeed. So the same thing goes here. If you do not work as a team, you will not succeed against these generic ass looking aliens, right? And then the idea is if that character dies, you have to go rescue them. Otherwise, you can't be fucking John anymore. I don't know what the characters' names are. To me, that's exciting. That's really interesting for me. Because I love The Division, and my favorite thing about The Division was its PvE-esque, setup. So more of that is all good. Puck in the chat has jumped in with some clarification around the Rainbow Six name convention, extraction convention. The game was revealed during E3 2019 as Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Quarantine and was set to be released in 2020 for PC, PS4 and Xbox One. The game was delayed in October 2019 alongside 2 other Ubisoft titles for the fiscal year of 2020 to 2021. That's like Far Cry 6 was one of them, in order to give the team more time. It was then delayed again.
The other one was Skull and Bones.
Skull and Bones is just still not coming out. It was then delayed to fiscal year 2021-2022 due to development challenges during the COVID pandemic, and a new title for the game was revealed on June 8, 2021. Yeah, there you go. That's right. That's handy information. I love that. So it gives me something to play in January because January is kind of quiet. I'm really bad at multiplayer games and having people to play them with, but it looks like I might be able to play this by myself potentially. Like The Division, I played both Division 1 and 2 completely solo, and I loved it for it. Is this a Max game?
Yes and no. Again, same as you, I have played Rainbow Six Siege. I'm not great at the game. I do like the idea of each of those characters, like each of the operators having their own specific roles, which is great. I do love the fact that it is essentially a co-op PvE game. That alone, I've always been a sucker for a co-op game, so that alone will probably get me in if there's enough of my friends playing it.
Well, there's at least 2 of us, so there's that.
Yeah.
Next up was the Alan Wake remaster. So this did leak a couple of days ago, prior to the showcase, and I guess rather than hold on to it, they kind of went, yeah, it's real, and they handed that information out. The reveal would have been nice, but this is more of you. I've never played it. I don't know a lot about it. Tell me, Max.
Yeah, so I played Alan Wake back years ago when it was an Xbox exclusive. I believe it came out on Xbox 360. This, for me, I think this is a great move after how well Control has done. Obviously, Control also did Alan Wake. There is Alan Wake DLC in Control. If you go through and read all of the lore in Control like I did, it is in that Alan Wake universe. It is a big shared universe. And, you know, a lot of people didn't get to experience Alan Wake because it was exclusive on Microsoft for so long. You can pick it up on PC now, but to see it remastered and coming out on PlayStation as well, fantastic.
Yeah, so I'm quite excited for this one actually. Like,
from what I've heard, it also does come with the DLC.
Nice. Yeah, not the American Nightmare though. Apparently that's a second standalone thing, but it will come with the DLC otherwise. So have it. Yeah, I have not played it at all. I have it on PC. I think I got it for like $4 at some point on Steam. But like, if I can play it, get some trophies, and experience because I think Remedy are great. I loved Control. Control was my kind of fucking.
If you loved Control, I think you will very much enjoy Alan Wake.
Yeah, it was my kind of weird, which I loved, and I haven't played the DLC yet, mostly because they're no cross save from PS4 to PS5, and I only play on my PS5 now, so I'm not going to play the PS4 version of Control. And I could run through the game again because I did enjoy it that much, but right that. So it does look like an Xbox 360 game that's been remastered. Like, there's still a little bit it's a little bit jarring. Some of the physics look a little bit off. There's a lot of hard surfaces and a lot of hard directions. Still very keen. Very, very keen. And as I said, because with our show and the audience that we have, it's very likely a lot of you guys haven't played it because it's because, you know,
I believe
PlayStation
it
show.
Comes out real soon.
October 5th. So literally like 3 weeks away, 4 weeks away at best. Very excited. And it's cheap. It's like $40 US, $30 US. So expect like $50 to $60 here. That's pretty good. Like, that is that good AA range. That's a very solid price for a remaster. Right down the middle. Rather than having to pay 100 and some bucks. Speaking of paying 100 and something bucks for a game again for no fucking reason, GTA 5 Remaster popped up here as well. It looked near on identical to the PS4 version. They're like, oh, it's fucking good looking graphics and this and that, and they talked about the impressive character swap timing, which is that's great.
It is. I mean, it is going to be nice to not have to wait 20 minutes to get into GTA Online.
No. That won't change because we saw that on PS4 and it's the same amount of time on PS5. That is a server issue. That is not the game issue of itself. Unless they fix that shit, like, because it is inter-swapping characters within the single player campaign, almost instantaneous, which is good. Like, they didn't specify about switching between online and single player. They didn't
Yeah,
mention
because I know they mentioned like, you know, our cars are going to be able to drive faster now because things just load in faster.
Yeah.
It's going to be better.
But it's tough to
It was-
show that in a trailer.
Oh yeah, it was very interesting to see that they've moved their release date from the 11th of November to March 2022.
They
That
never
was kind of like-
once again, they never specified November from memory. That was kind of like the elusive day, or am I wrong? Did they clearly date it?
I think it was clearly dated. Like it was
Puck.
everywhere had
Puck
it
the fact man.
set at the 11th of November.
Because I remember 11th of November as well. But once again, because of the nature of what we do, like we get information from a ton of places, so I can't verify whether that's something that we knew about or whether we just were told it. Like it's that weird like middle space. But that got moved into March of next year. It's a bit disappointing because I think that would have been a great way to back end the year, especially over Christmas. I think a lot of people would have really dived into it over the break. But we'll wait and see. Look, doesn't matter. It's still going to be the best-selling game between now and then anyway.
Well, it's interesting because when they announced it at the showcase way back when, they also announced that on PlayStation 4, every month up until the launch of the game, you will be able to purchase for free that you could get.
Sorry,
Yeah,
no, sorry. Yeah, Puck goes from the cached version of the page off the PlayStation's page. PS5 release date 11th of November 2021. So yes, it was dated. So my apologies, I was wrong.
So yeah, when they first announced this back at the PlayStation, the original PS5 showcase, they said for every month up until the launch, we will be giving away 1 million GTA Online bucks. I wonder what that. I mean, obviously, again, this game is the top-selling game almost every week in Australia. They're obviously making money hand over fist and injecting essentially a $1 million in-game stimulus every month. Probably in the grand scheme of it, does nothing.
When cars are like $45 million or whatever, like it's fine.
But it's good for the players at least that this has been delayed, but you will be essentially quote unquote compensated in game by getting an extra X millions of dollars.
Yeah, so that's like $5 million in the game, but that's presuming you don't spend the $1 million when you get it. It's that weird sort of balance act, but that's right. Next up was the other Bethesda exclusive, Ghostwire Tokyo. I've not got a release date written down. I believe there is one. I think that they've got a time frame at least.
I also don't have one written down. This trailer made the game look so much better than the first trailer that they showed off.
Yeah, man, that first one they did when they showed them going through all those shrines and it was like weird, like cloud, and there was like a lot of hand movements and like it didn't look that impressive. This looks like a game that I would play. Previously, it looked shithouse. This looks really cool.
Yeah.
I like all like the Slender Man looking enemies. A lot of
walked away. There's dudes with their heads just fighting in suit jackets. Like,
yeah, like cool. Yokai and stuff. Like, there's a lot of very clear of that imagery. Which, look, once again, as I've said it before and I'll say it again, that Japanese imagery isn't for me. But like,
super keen.
Yeah. So for me, this is more of I saw what it looked like originally. I looked what it looked like now. I'm like, oh shit, that is some incredible improvement. Yeah. I want to see that. Like, to me, that's respecting that. Going, yep, I want to see that. That'll take that. Like, to me, that is worth my investment. But I believe there is a window on it. Yeah. So they didn't include some. I think it's the front end of next year, as well.
I also have a feeling that it is
just to add to it. I think they may have said spring. So our autumn.
Initial release date 2022.
Okay, well, there was something somewhere tells me that it was that. Yes, it was initially slated for October of this year. It did get delayed, but I think over the last day, someone I heard said somewhere. I hope I'm not like fucking just spoiling.
On the PlayStation blog, it just says prepare yourself for ghost hunting action, otherworldly mystery, and next gen adventure across the visions of Tokyo like no other. When Ghostwire Tokyo arrives on PlayStation 5 in 2022. That's from the PlayStation blog.
Then
unless
you may have to ignore what I just said.
Tango Gameworks is doing this?
Tango Gameworks, yeah.
Yeah, unless they've come out and said something otherwise, all I can see is 2022.
Yeah, I think I heard the front end of next year. But that's all right. Yeah, it's cool. All right. So look, we are hitting like once GTA kicked in, like Ghostwire was fine, but it kind of was a bit of a lull overall. And that to me, the lull really kicked in kind of here. GTA 5, I knew it was going to be there, so I didn't go like everyone else did. But Guardians of the Galaxy, which came out next, that is where it completely started killing momentum for me.
I have zero interest in this game at all.
Look, from gameplay could be fine, but it does not look good. Like, I mean that as like visually it looks fine, but you know how we talked about like before with Borderlands and the attempt of humor? I did not laugh once in this trailer. There were quite a number of attempted jokes or bits, and none of it worked. It is just so painful. Like, it's clearly written by, like, once again, why South Park works. It's written by two dudes that are genuinely funny and are great, and they know what they're writing. Like, here, I cannot verify that those that wrote it are actually funny individuals. Because I wouldn't believe it from what I saw here. Like, granted, like, they're trying to channel Chris Pratt without being able to use Chris Pratt, but only Chris Pratt can be Chris Pratt. You know what I mean? Like, even like the raccoon does kind of sound like Bradley Cooper a little bit, but it's just, I don't know. Once again, like like no one takes anything serious humor, I guess, is good, but it's all like it's kind of the shit that I like in most other medium. But I don't know. I am not confident like this will deliver at all.
Yeah, I'm the same. I don't.
Like, look, it's Eidos. It's not the same team that did. There's no Crystal Dynamics that did, you know, Avengers. So there's no precedent that the the Avengers will be the Square Enix handling.
The problem is, Insomniac have done such a great job with their Marvel properties that they are now the gold standard.
Yeah.
And everything else kind of looks subpar compared to what they do, which is a real shame.
We'll get into them being the gold standard very, very soon, because I believe that there is a lot of love from Disney to Insomniac specifically. Next up, one that you should be excited about because you love the IP, but not so much this version of it. Vampire the Masquerade Blood Hunt. This is the not indefinitely delayed battle royale.
No, this is the battle royale. So I played this about 2 months ago. I was lucky enough to get into the closed alpha. So I played it on PC. It's fine. I personally think that the battle royale space is bloated, and I don't think that this IP and the changes that they've made will make me get back into that genre. I don't think it does enough. It's, I think I mentioned it, when I said that I'd been playing it. It's PvP VE. There are just standard mobs in there that you can feed on that helps you level up and increase your power, but it's just not enough to. It's essentially just a hero shooter battle royale. Like there's nothing in that IP that pulls you in, because you have to remember that Vampire the Masquerade is a tabletop RPG.
Yeah, and look, granted, in the design of Vampire the Masquerade, it is built on factions. Yes. Right, so the idea of a battle royale based in factions is very clever, especially from a hero shooter perspective or a hero class perspective. But you have to be invested in the property, otherwise you're not going to know. Yeah, it's very much. Yeah, I don't know. It wasn't for me, and I'm a huge fan of the IP, and it's not enough, in my opinion. And again, the battle royale space is bloated. The people that control that battle royale space are not going anywhere. This is not going to dethrone the top dogs. It's not doing anything. It's doing something new, but it's not new enough, and it's not exciting enough, and I don't think it's done well enough to make it stand out from the others. And the fact that it's delayed further as well, from previously. It is a free-to-play game. That'll work in its favor. That will work in its favor, but apart from that, yeah, like I said, having it be delayed previously, 'cause from memory, it's supposed to come out earlier. you're getting further and further away from the moment in time where battle royales were the thing. Yes, they're still popular now, but people are very much settling in their ways. They're settling into the battle royales that they love, like Fortnite, and even PUBG's lost a lot of its luster now. It's pretty much just Fortnite and Warzone. They're the two ones that people give a shit about. But I don't think this is going to take a bite, pun intended, out of the battle royale space. And I'm, only because I love saying the name. No, in the chat says Bloodlines, please, not battle royale. Because you want Bloodlines too, right? That's the one that you're all hard for.
Yeah.
Gross.
I believe that's the one that's been indefinitely delayed. That's
that one. That one's had a lot of studio problems.
I'm pretty sure it's had to get different studios completely taken over it, and that has been a nightmare.
Yeah, everything's not coming up Millhouse for that team. Look, next up, because they just couldn't fucking help themselves. This game comes out in 4 days from the showcase. 4 fucking days. We have seen this game so much. This game comes out in less time than they gave it in the presentation. Deathloop was shown again. Why? Fucking why? I understand they have nothing else for the rest of this year, but you gave it a whole state of play like just so many months ago. Fuck. What is the deal? Still want to play it, but fuck.
Yeah, yeah, I'm the same boat. Like, we've seen the whole game already now. I'm still very eager to play it. It does seem a little bit long in the tooth now. We've seen it way too much. Doesn't need to. But I get, like you point out, it is their only game coming out. This is it. This is what they've got. So they kind of have to just shove it down your throat.
But like, how much more of the game is there left? Really? Like, I know this is very hyperbolic because I'm sure.
Well, the thing is, each trailer, and I don't know if you knew this, but each trailer is a different loop.
Cool. The whole game's built on loops. That doesn't fucking mean shit. You know what I mean? Congratulations, you're showing the base systems, right?
Yeah,
but like,
no, I don't know. It probably. Part of me is like, it didn't need to be there. We've seen enough, and the other part's like, well, this is all you've got. You should probably.
From a business perspective, I understand it, right? But if we're like, when they say from now and beyond, they didn't mean like fucking tomorrow. They should mean like in the coming months, not by the time you get around to watching this presentation. Game's out.
I made this point last night on the question box. I'm so glad that Kojima dropped his trailer the day before, so he didn't lose 20 minutes of the showcase on another Death Stranding trailer.
I completely agree. Look, I said we're going to play it. We're going to review it here on the show. However, it's kind of fucking insane that
I really hope that in like 2 weeks' time, you're like, game was awesome.
Look,
I'm so glad that they released 300,000 trailers for it before.
Look, I will not be grateful that they released 1,000 trailers, but I'm very happy to have my stance turned around. An example being Bugsnax, right? I fucking hated the marketing for Bugsnax. I thought that I felt this game was going to be shit. Turns out,
great. I
really enjoyed it. It was just the marketing that made me mad.
Yeah.
And Deathloop could be the same thing as well. Next up was Kid A Mnesia, which is a collaboration between a studio and Radiohead, which looks to be this sort of interactive musical experience based off an album they released last year.
So I believe it's 2 albums. I believe it's the Kid A album and the Amnesiac album.
Yeah. Sweet.
Yeah, seems cool.
Now that I have that context, this gave me a lot of was it Transference? Was that Ubisoft thing with Elijah Wood was involved with it? Was Elijah Wood?
Yeah.
Yeah, like that cool sort of VR, more experience-y based thing. Like, I know that's been given some love at a bunch of different showcases as well previously before it released like a year or so ago, maybe even a year and a half ago, 2 years. Like, yeah, it gave me that same vibe, especially having, someone cool getting involved in the gaming space in an interesting way. Why not? Next up was, I don't know how to pronounce this, Tchia?
Tchia, I believe Tchia.
Yeah, which is a cool little game with, what's the New Cambodia?
Caledonia.
New Caledonia, thank you. Sort of showing off a new thing look through New Caledonia. It has a very similar art style to like Yonder, the Cloud Catcher Chronicles, great little farming game that I played. It's got that very Zelda-esque sort of feel to it as well.
I saw this and went, oh, it's what's that? It's that game that came out on Switch last year that everyone loved.
Animal Crossing.
Animal Crossing. I'm like, oh, is it just an Animal Crossing type game? And then they started transforming into animals and stuff. I'm like, oh, this could be interesting, but I don't think this is for me.
Yeah, I looked at it and I was like, sorry, go ahead.
I love that like pastel art style that it had. That's really cool. But yeah, I definitely don't think this is the max game.
No, like it has that indie darling like layout because someone's like, oh, the game's great, but the art style is what really sells it. Like it opens with like this very straight pulled from The Last of Us guitar circle thing, which is sure, why not? But
it was Naughty Dog all along.
This is the only indie game in the showcase, and I do think it's probably going to be hit with some shit because of it. Because especially with the lull that we're having in the showcase, for it to then be one of the last things in that lull, everyone's like, why? Like after seeing Deathloop and whatever that weird experience thing, like most people are sitting there going, what the fuck is this indie shit? You know what I mean? And like the game looks cool, and it looks like it's the same sort of approach that I had about what was it? Volcano High, right? I'm like, why are you showing me this shit? That's not what this showcase should be about. Yeah, I understand that like indies need their time, and I think that's where State of Plays are great, right? State of Play should show you a bunch of cool indie. Why doesn't Sony have their own version in indies?
Yeah, so I brought this up last night as well, and I have a feeling that I made the point of I feel that Sony were damned if they do, damned if they don't in this showcase. They're going to get stung for not having indies. Well, they had one in this showcase, but I also feel that if they had more, people would have been like, this is a showcase. We're not here for the indies. We want to see the big PlayStation hits.
Yeah.
And by putting more indies in, you're taking away time from those hits. So I have a feeling that no matter what they did in this showcase, there were going to be people who were like, hey, where's all the indies? And if they had indies, they would be like, hey, you're taking up too much time with indies.
My argument...
And again, I completely agree that they should and need to do a Nintendo Direct or Nindies style thing. I don't know what they call that, but, have some state of plays. Give them the love of those indies. Because a lot of the times... those indie darlings can really, bring it home. I mean, look at Hades.
Look, I would argue that a showcase, like when you only have one big fucking blowout for a year, it should be your big boys, right? You know what I mean? So for me, I look at this and like, yes, this should be your moment to show the big fuck off games. Now, don't get me wrong. This like Tchia could be one of them, and I do think it's a little bit like. PlayStation are... I'm going to get to this at the end when I talk about this in a minute, but PlayStation are very clearly taking some safe bets, right? And with that, I think it would be better for the creators, it'd be better for the game if they had a state of play that was like, here's just the independence. They won't do it because right now, and the point I'll get to shortly, because I think it's a big one, the frequency that they do announcements, the frequency that they have these things, they're really restricting the times that they can talk about things. So when that time comes, they need to make it count. And that's not happening right now. All right, next up is Tchia. As I said, it looks like it's got some farming game in influences to it, which got me a little bit excited with that Yonder sort of vibe. But we'll wait and see. It looks like they took the mechanic from Michelle Ensel's Wild, the game that we talked about last week, being straight fucking dead. We can just change between people and animals or whatever. So it looks like they're like, he won't deliver it, we will. It's cool. Next up was Uncharted 4 and the Uncharted The Lost Legacy are being remastered for PS5 and PC. Okay, cool. So like there was the rumor mill that it was coming to PC. Not surprising. I'm very happy to have.
I mean, there was
PC.
a straight up leak of a picture saying it came to PC, but no one believed it because apparently that image was so.
Yeah,
shit.
everyone believed that it was coming, but the PC wasn't. The picture wasn't real, and I would agree with him because of the kind of poo. But I'm happy with this. Bring it to PC. It's interesting that it's the last one in essentially the last two in the series of that is Uncharted, but they are the most well scalable to PS5. Also, both of them playable on PS5. One of them free with the PlayStation Plus collection. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like they've been out in the last 5 years. They technically came out before Horizon. So really, like it's not. It's because in the chat, new mentions for me they are too new for a remaster. I would disagree because Horizon came out sooner. 5 years is a more than enough time. The fact they're giving it out for free if you own a PS5 and have PS Plus tells me very clearly that they've made as much money as they possibly can on it. Why not? The Lost Legacy was a PS Plus game at one time. This is them just moving down the line of other shit they can move to PC and they can string for more money. Which ideally, if they do this now, that means that there is either a new Uncharted in the works or a remake or a reboot or something, because very similar to Horizon was released on PC, and as Dash points out in the chat, did gangbusters there as well. So, and then with Forbidden West around the corner, it's a circumstance of you play it on PC, you fall in love with it, we've got a new one coming, buy a PS5. Or buy, whatever, right? It's that same kind of idea. I'm not against it. I think Uncharted 4 is my favorite of the lot because it's just so beautifully wraps up everything up. I love it. It's stunning. So if they can crank it up from 4K, if they can have it outside of 30 frames too, that'd be great because technically the Nathan Drake collection run better because they have higher frame rates, etc. But they also look a lot shitter in comparison. I don't know. About you?
Again, I've only experienced all these games secondhand through my wife playing them. I told her that they were coming to PS5. She's like, cool, never going to get to play those.
I was setting you up a little bit there, knowing full well that you have never played them.
Because obviously, the PlayStation 5 is mine. My wife's not allowed to touch it.
It's my Demon Souls one. Wife, you cannot touch it.
It's interesting, like you mentioned, that they're releasing 4 and the standalone to PC and not the rest of them. A bold strategy.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things because if you go, hey, like our first release, if you release the old, people will be like, this is jank because the game is 2 generations old at this point, right? Yeah. So like we're looking at games that are 8+ years old compared to a game that's 5 years old. So I think that's probably why they would do that, and then maybe if it sells well, they might give them the original 3 and be like, "Hey,
that's the problem,
you don't know
how we got to the end,
how we got here. So you want to buy it, cool. Just so you know, it's not gonna look as rad."
Yeah,
and I think that's the preface that they would need to establish before they do that, and by having even 4 preface that preface, I think is probably the safest bet. Yeah. All right, this is where shit got intense. Like Sony clearly had only 10 minutes worth of footage, and they padded the fuck out of it. So this is where shit got intense because I remember looking at the time, going, "All right, cool. The Uncharted announcement is rad. We have 10 minutes left. They better fucking swing and quickly." So here's the big one that most people are kind of damp about, and admittedly I was too. But it's one of those things that are like almost like all the last Star Wars films. I was like, "That's really cool." Hang on, and then you think about once you start thinking about it outside of the exact moment you watched it, it crumbles in on itself. We see PlayStation Studios like, this is what I want. This is what I'm wanting to see. PlayStation Studios, come on. This give me some shit. And they, to their credit, they gave me something that I was looking for. Something that I was unexpecting, something cool. Bar scene, bunch of people kick the shit out of. Cool little like country rock-esque sound, song playing. It's looking fantastic. Clearly a cinematic tease. We saw Insomniacs. I'm like, this looks way too fucking violent for Spoods. And I was fucking adamant that Spider-Man 2 wasn't being shown because I'm like, that motherfucker is so far away. Then cut to a bar and we see a dude sipping on some whiskey, and I'm like, okay, let's see where this goes, because my brain didn't put 2 and 2 together straight away. Guy comes up with a knife, schnicked, fucking Wolverine, man. Insomniac making Marvel Wolverine game.
Yep.
This cunt is, sorry, hard C word there. This game is not coming out for like 3 years. Like, we are not seeing this till like.
Well, can we talk about their other announcements so we can bundle them together? Because I don't think we can talk about one without talking about the other.
Yeah. Okay. Then shortly later, in a minute. Yeah. So we do that. No date, nothing. Like, this shit's coming so much later. Like, it is not coming out right now. Then they showed Gran Turismo 7, which is announced. It's not in the trailer. It's announced afterwards that it's coming in the 4th of March. It's a car game, sure.
I mean, it looks stunning.
Yeah, it looks great. I really love their tagline of what is it? The real racing driving simulator. Look, yeah. I do not know enough about driving simulating. Neither do you. So when the time comes, I will be reaching out to a friend show in the US, which is the Dual Sense Pod. Travis on there. He is a big racing sim guy. Obviously, he does races in leagues. He has the wheels. You fucking name it. He is the guy.
I mean, I can barely drive in real life, let alone
Spot
in
on.
a simulator.
So I will have him come involved in March. I'm booking his guest appointment in 6 months in advance. He is going to come in and be our expert around GT7. So we will still play it, but we'll have someone that knows what's up. Then it follows with, once again, we see PlayStation Studios. Cool. There's a lamppost. Electricity shoots up it. My brain goes, fucking Infamous. Are you kidding me? Some dude gets yeeted into the pole. I'm like, oh, shit. Then we see Spoods. Then we see the fucking, the titties of Spider-Man, of Peter Parker. And then we see... Sorry, in the chat, Max, I could barely drive in real life. Ryan, spot on. Yeah, you can't drive. I can't fucking drive in real life either. Like, I do enough to survive. I ain't race driving. But yeah, then you see Miles Morales' titties, and then I'm like, okay, why? My answer was, no. Okay, you see him beat on a dude. You see they look in an alleyway. Venom. You hear something that sounds like Kraven. Like, Spider-Man 2, 2023, 2 years out, Spider-Man 2. We knew it was coming unofficially, but I don't know why it was here. So now, Max, you wanted to make sure they were both addressed before we connect to the two. Shoot, now's your time.
Okay, so obviously super keen for Wolverine. I feel that Insomniac are currently... Their shoulders must be killing them. I feel that they're currently carrying PlayStation Studios. Don't get me wrong, the games that they're releasing are absolute bangers. You know, we've had, we had Miles Morales shortly before launch. Was it shortly after launch? Sorry,
no, on launch. Timeline. Miles came on launch. Yep.
We've had Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. We've got Wolverine that is clearly not coming before Spider-Man 2 because Spider-Man 2 got a year window and Wolverine got nothing. 2 year window. Oh, well, it got a year window of 2023. Yes. It's in 2 years, but it got a year-long window. From what we've heard, that they approached and pitched the idea of a Wolverine game. They're not getting pigeonholed as Sony's Marvel studio, which is good. Hopefully, they've still got the freedom to do the other things that they want to do. I have no problem with them picking up another Marvel IP. I think Wolverine has the potential to be a cool IP for a game, depending on what story they tell. From what we saw, it does clearly seem like it's going to be a newer Wolverine story. It's not Old Man Logan.
Which breaks my heart because Old Man Logan's the best shit.
It's not the early Japanese years. It's not the early Weapon X stuff. It does seem to be that that middle ground.
Yeah,
be
so
interesting
he
to
may
see
not be part of
it.
the X-Men yet, but he's not. He's not Weapon X. Like that time has that in that intermediary period before he joins the X-Men is what I'm thinking. Right.
And like last night, Shane on the question box brought up that Insomniac have this way of introducing a ton of stuff in their games to deal with combat. You know, you look at Ratchet and Clank and the myriad of your arsenal of weaponry that you have, and Wolverine has got one thing for him. He's very animalistic and he's got his claws. There's not much, you know, what else are they going to do to provide you with to deal with that? And now I have no problem with this game being a Wolverine hack and slash. Like, give me some
that
gory...
X-Men Wolverine's Origins. That game was shit hot.
Yeah,
Give me that. But better.
So, you know, I honestly have no problem with them picking up another Marvel IP.
So for me, there's a couple.
But it's not any time soon.
Yeah, but in terms of Wolverine itself, I love the idea of it. Mostly because, especially if they're touching upon this co-op idea or having other companions, because you know that I think that could lead to potentially later in the game, an X-Men-y sort of thing, or an X-Men down the line, which is always very cool. Because one of the things is like a Speedball special, which is Colossus just fucking yeeting Wolverine at someone. That would be cool. Like that's a great way to switch it up. Your point is spot on around Insomniac's skill set is gadgets, and we see that in Ratchet and Clank. We see that in Spider-Man. Like, there's great, cool little ways for them to do that, and I wonder how they do that with Wolverine. But I'm very curious to see. Yes, I appreciate that that Insomniac were the ones to pitch Wolverine. That means that they are passionate about it, as you said. That means that they aren't being shoehorned into something. Yet I do worry they might be shoehorning themselves by accident. Mostly because if we look at I'll get to this in a little bit after we talk about the final thing, right? So,
well, before you get into that, while you're holding your thought, Shane in the chat, a license plate in the trailer shows HLK181. That specific comic features Wolverine versus the Hulk.
Oh, Hulk 181. Ooh, that's a deep cut. I fucking like that. Oh yeah. Give me that. Yeah. So look, mine. Like we'll get to once we talk about this last thing that I can add more thoughts about this. But it's great that Insomniac are doing a lot. They're clearly a huge team. Like there has to be 3 or 4 teams in Insomniac. Easy, right? Because there is no the speed at which they're producing shit is insane.
Yeah. They've got 2 years now.
My worry is around, as we talked about PlayStation wanting to only do blockbusters, right? Only to do big fuck off things. And to me, that creates a lot of worry around laziness, around stagnation. Not laziness is not the right term. Stagnation is probably the big thing, right? Mm-hmm. Because if you're... yes, they delivered with Spider-Man, and they will deliver with Spider-Man 2, and they will deliver with Wolverine. No question. Right? So, I think Insomniac can do more than just make this, because what I got out of this conference is the vibes that I got was very similar to Xbox for a number of years. It's Halo, it's Forza, it's Gears. And the reliance on Insomniac here, which we'll get to shortly as well, they now have 14 fucking studios. And all we're seeing so far in this PS5 generation is essentially the future is Insomniac and Insomniac only. Where the fuck is everybody else? What are they doing? And even then, Insomniac right now, everything that they've released, even except for Ratchet, I guess, their future plans right now are not their IP. So in the same way that Telltale fucking crumbled under the reliance of other companies' IP, I worry that at one point Insomniac will be the same. Everyone talks about how Insomniac was picked up at a bargain. Were they? Were they really? From a talent perspective, very much so. But they were purchased with no IP. Sunset Overdrive, not theirs. Resistance, not theirs. Ratchet and Clank, not theirs. Spider-Man, not theirs. Wolverine, not theirs. Get my point? So this reliance on using external IP is cool. I think Sony has a much bigger potential than just making shit, right? For like Disney. Obviously, Disney are loving it, right? You mean they look over and they see Spider-Man's kick-ass. They see Square Enix mishandle the Avengers. They look at Guardians of the Galaxy presumably like, what the fuck is this? They look over at EA and you butchered Star Wars.
Yeah.
And like, it's a weird space for me around that, right? That is my concern. I'm going to play Spider-Man. I'm going to play Wolverine. I'm going to fucking love it. But my worry is just that this is a transitional point for PlayStation, especially with the likes of Jim Ryan, who is Sean Layden, for all his weirdness, is what worked in the PS4. He would make decisions. He would look at things differently and allow for weird shit to come out. Where I do not see Jim Ryan making that call, or even Herman Hulst making that call, because his directive is just Jim Ryan's, right?
Yep.
So when there needs to be risks, I don't see them taking them. And we saw that with the likes of Sony Ben being thrown under a bus in order to make remakes.
Yeah.
The future looks scary. And what I saw here makes it look scarier. Because once we talk about God of War Ragnarok, the history is unknown for PlayStation at the moment. It sounds really hyperbolic and real scary, but we'll get to that now. So we'll talk about God of War. So God of War Ragnarok finally revealed its real name, God of War Ragnarok. They kind of just turned into the skid there. Like, I guess that's what we'll just call it. We'll go with that. We saw some gameplay. We saw some story. It's essentially a small story trailer. A bunch of stuff was great. We see Atreus is... we see it go bigger. You know, Atreus is larger. He's embracing his giantness, or a couple years have come through. We see Freya return. We see Brock and Sindri return. We see Mimir is back as Scottishly snarky as ever. We hear Thor for the first time. We don't have a date for it, but it looks like more God of War, but with snow. We are confirmation afterwards that it's hitting all 9 realms, where previously we only saw 6. Like it's being directed not by Cory Barlog, but by another gentleman who has been at Sony Santa Monica since day dot, like around the times of David Jaffe and God of War 1. He's been there all the way through. So it is the final in the in the Nordic age, the Nordic time, which leads me to believe either they're going to transition or it's done for a little while. Max, I've been talking nonstop. Eric Williams was his name. Thank you, Dash.
Yeah, so we both assumed that this was a pretty safe thing to appear at the showcase. Obviously, the last showcase, we just got that teaser, the God of War with the symbol, the Omega symbol. What's exciting is that it wasn't just a cinematic trailer. It actually showed gameplay, which leads me to believe that this is closer than we possibly think. Cool. We're hitting all 9 realms this time. It looks like they're just making God of War 2018 on a larger scope. God of War 2018 was fantastic. Give me more of that. That seems to be the case. Yeah. God of War hit you harder than what it hit me.
Yeah.
I think you definitely enjoyed it way more than what I did. Not saying that my enjoyment wasn't, but you connected with it on a different level than what I did. Yeah, they really did turn into the skid of, well, I guess this is just what it is now.
Yeah. Even Cory Barlog playing into the bit, like he's like, I don't know what that game is, and then he took it. I was like, I thought it was a different game. I'm so sorry, the internet. Like I really thought it was you guys were talking about something else.
Yeah, my question is, where are they putting it?
Yeah, so we'll get to that. Yeah, so for me, I'm very excited by God of War. I've watched the trailer a handful of times just because I'm excited. Like, 2018's God of War is one of the most important games to me. It is one of my favorite games of all time. It hit me in such a way at a certain time in my life that I was not expecting it to be as much loved as it was. Like, I have a model Leviathan axe on my wall. I have three different things on this back wall are built with Kratos and Atreus. I have 2 more statues coming at the end of the year. Like, there's a custom controller back there. My PS4 Pro was custom to God of War. This game means a lot to me. So it's not as if an expectation thing, because I know I will love this because with the groundwork that they've set here. I love the old God of Wars too, right? But like, there's something about that father and son story that father and son story hit me harder as a father to a son, and with the whole idea about the whole underlining story of you do not want your son to take your path, to see the challenges that you have, face or make the mistakes that you did. You don't want them to become you. And that hit home in a lot of ways for me. So seeing it here, like even just the iconography of like with the first trailer we ever saw of Atreus is him being uncomfortable with hunting a deer. And it's the entire him teaching him how to hunt, right? And how to take the life of a deer and to make it understanding that it's food and this is why we need to do it. The imagery here is Kratos is in a fucking cave. He's making arrows. Atreus is like, hey, I got a deer, Dad. Like, I just come back, here you go, boom. Like that in that second alone, that is growth. That is showing how far they have come as a pairing, how far Atreus has come, right? And then we see sort of the idea of him wanting to find out who he is, having a coming of age, which I love coming of age stories, the best times. So that has me excited about spoilers about him discovering Loki and what his new identity is. And I think that's going to be amazing because now he knows he is a god. He knows that he is a giant. Like, there are all these different things that he gets to comprehend and see. So that has me excited, right? And then, of course, Thor and the casting of Thor, right? So when I watched that trailer, I heard a voice, and a voice that I know, and a voice that I love. So especially right now, so it's voiced by Ryan Hurst, the gentleman that played Opie in Sons of Anarchy. So I'm rewatching Sons of Anarchy right now with Craig, and I already loved Opie, right, as a character. He is the heart of Sons of Anarchy, and Ryan Hurst's performance is what brings it home. His voice, his delivery, everything about him adds to. So, for anyone that hasn't watched Sons of Anarchy, that character dies. He gets taken out in about season 5. In season 5, episode 3, I can tell you exactly when. And the performance that Opie gives hits me in such a way that, like, when I rewatched it recently, I cried in this room with Craig on Discord as if I just watched a loved one pass away. As if I had a scab removed from me that I didn't know that hadn't healed. Like, I'm talking deep. So, like, knowing that a performance he can give can elicit that response in me, elicit that response in a game that has already given me that response, has me incredibly excited. Because hearing his voice, and then when they confirmed that it was Ryan Hurst, I almost cried then and there. Because I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? You're bringing this in. Like, Thor is supposed to be the bad guy. It's going to be really hard. I'm probably going to be empathetic towards Thor in this. So when I hear Christopher Judge, like, my wife's a massive Stargate fan, so I'm hearing Teal'c, I'm hearing Opie. Like, all the things that my household loves is coming together in a game, and it has me really excited. And it looks like more God of War. Like, at the time, I'm watching it going, this looks like more God of War. And I was kind of like originally disheartened by that idea, but then I was followed up with, no, I loved God of War, so give me more of that. I now have the Blades of Chaos with me at all time. That, as we see, that changes traversal, that changes in fights. Like, we have the potential to have more enemies at any given time. Like, normally they would come in like groups of 2 or 3 or whatever, right? We're never overwhelmed. But the potential now on PS5 as well is that we can be overwhelmed with enemies and really take... I'm really passionate about this game, by the way.
Don't forget, this is, I just want to cut in here really quick. You mentioned that now that we're on PS5,
It's
we're going to be
coming
able to see
PS4
more
too,
NV.
yeah.
It is still coming to PS4, and it's still going to be tethered to that point. I don't think we're necessarily going to see more on screen purely because it has to cater to both.
Yeah, so very likely, but yes.
Sorry, I just want to.
That's all right. So I'm looking at this game and I'm very, very excited about this. But it does bring up a very important question, and it's the question that you asked. And as you've come out of focus, you might want to do the old makeup YouTuber trick, get yourself brought in there. No, come on. That's right. Either way, this does bring up a question because this game was meant to come out this year, meant to come out about now, I believe. But it got delayed into 2022, and that's all that we know. No date on this. They didn't even reinforce the 2022 part of it.
Yeah.
They just went, "Yep, God of War." So, and it looks a lot further along than we anticipated. So my original pitch was Horizon in February, March, around about there. GT7 in June, God of War in October. So where we're at, we have Horizon in February, GT7 in March, which has potential to be a concern in and of itself because cramming them together. I think the Venn diagram of those, I think you said that, was the Venn diagram, don't really kind of mesh.
I don't know how well the Venn diagram of Horizon fans and GT fans overlap, so it still might be fun.
Yeah, so I don't see it being a problem. And even then, Ghost of Tsushima, The Last of Us, they came near in each other. They didn't enter each other at all. If anything, they both flourished because of it. Right? Yep. So that means either we are going to have an incredibly fucking dead period from a PlayStation Studios perspective from either March through to potentially October, or we're going to have a very busy March to June and then no idea what's coming on. Because what we're looking at right now, because 2022 is going to be a stacked year for games in general. Because everything that should have been this year is now rolling over into next year. It's going to be busy. It's going to be intense. It's going to be crazy. But I'm looking from a PlayStation Studios perspective, right? Yes, right now, they're sitting at 3 exclusives within the year. That's pretty standard. That's really good. 3 exclusives in 1 year is fucking fantastic. In theory, 3 exclusives in 6 months is awesome. But when you have no idea what near on fucking 11 of the 14 studios they own are doing, I'm sorry, what? Because additionally, MLB The Show comes out at the first part of the year. It's a yearly franchise, right? 3 PlayStation Studio games already for the first half of next year. You know what I mean? It has to come out in October, but even then, the middle part of the year is near on quiet. Yes, we sort of had that. We didn't really have that this year. We had the back end of this year being quiet. No surprise. PlayStation have not released a first-party exclusive game since The Last Guardian, and that was only released because they had to. Prior to that, they keep the back end of the year free for their third-party dealings, whether it be Call of Duty, etc. They know they can't compete. They step away. Yeah. So that's the worry for me. And because now that we've kind of wrapped up the conference, this is some of the other concerns that I have. Yeah, look, everything in this that you should be excited about is so far away. Yeah. God of War Ragnarok, great. That's exciting. Still didn't date it. Which means that fucker could also not come out next year.
Oh yeah, I'm still very firm on my stance of a game with no date cannot be delayed.
Yeah, and so they are essentially saying that it can come out anytime in 2022. Okay, cool, that's fine. However, right now, aside from Forspoken, I guess, which is a PS5 exclusive, almost everything in this showcase is coming to both PS5 and PS4. Not, I do believe, because PlayStation allegedly believed in generations before a pandemic kicked in. Right now, there is no reason to. I stand firm that there is no reason to buy a PS5. And you could they talk about shortages, right? Oh, they may not be on the shelves until 2023. That's fine. You are not going to be hindered by buying a PS5 between now and 2023.
Yeah.
It looks like to be that way. But yeah, as we said, like where is everybody else? Look, Sony Bend just got fucked around for the longest time. So the answer is, I don't know, still working on whatever. They're probably in early pre-production or in some sort of near pre-production on whatever they're doing, right? Naughty Dog, no factions. We kind of expected it, but like they rocked up in Uncharted. Once again, not even being handled by Nixxes, sorry. It's being handled by someone external, right? So it's not even in internals, which means they've been working on it for a while because Nixxes is a new pickup. That's fine. Where's Pixel Opus? Right? You know, Sucker Punch is here. Sucker Punch, I understand they're probably not having anything because Ghost of Tsushima is right there. However, the precedent is you can just release something and then still show up. Because what the fuck, like if Insomniac, a recent acquisition, can be the staple launch games for this generation and then essentially provide you the next slate for the couple of years, where is everybody else? What is Insomniac doing differently that nobody else is doing?
Yeah. Oh, I agree.
So look, as a result, if I look, some of the announcements, fantastic. God of War, fantastic. Wolverine, fantastic. But the part of me, like the average gamer, the average consumer goes, wow, that is so exciting. But me, with the way my brain works, working in this space, I go, that is too far away to fucking care about. That this could, you know, once again, this is Watch Dogs, right? You know what I mean? Like they show it and years later, like it's not coming to you for like 3 years. It's Elder Scrolls, it's a point of concern. Same goes for the Knights of the Old Republic remake, right? As their pieces, when you think about them post-conference, you're like, wow, isn't God of War so cool? Isn't that cool? As an overall thing, there was an incredible lull in the middle. They showed a game that was coming out in fucking days for the 14th time. So much so that I had to look at my phone. I'm like, I can't fucking look at this anymore. It was good. It was a good conference. It wasn't a bad conference. If they turned up and showed nothing, they just showed blank for 40 minutes, that's a shit conference. They showed enough here to be passable, to have enough to get you excited. But I feel they really played it safe. And they played it safe by doubling down on franchises that we knew were already coming. Or like aside from Wolverine, like Wolverine's the only big thing that's completely different, but it's so far away that it's unreasonable to consider.
Yeah. All right, Ryan. I'm going to move us on to the quick bits because we have been recording for 2 hours.
Not even mad. What do you need to run anything else?
No. I completely mirror you on the showcase. Like I said at the start, it was fine. Again, I was hoping for some big unknowns that we hadn't seen. Personally, I was really hoping for a Bloodborne 2. I figured now that FromSoft is pretty much wrapped on Elden Ring, we might have been able to see something, but it is what it is. That's fine. Not a big deal. And yeah, we covered most of the games that were shown at the previous showcase that weren't here, like Final Fantasy 16, Little Devil Inside, Pragmata, all of those things. A lot of those were pushed. We have heard about them. It was just interesting that we didn't see them again reinforced because that's where they were first shown at a PlayStation showcase, and they were missing here. But yeah, like you said, the only unknown that we didn't know about was Marvel's Wolverine, and that is clearly not coming out before Spider-Man 2, and that's not coming out for 2 years anyway.
Yeah, and to add to, so Shane brought up a question, which is something I was wanting to touch upon, but I just completely forgot. They've asked, how do you both feel about waiting 12 months for a showcase? Would you prefer this model of annual showcase with state of pay sprinkled in, or spread the banger announcements throughout the year? The answer is spread, because the way Sony have been marketing, the way Sony have been working, and the infrequency and the unreliance on state of plays leads this showcase to be incredibly important. So I finished this going, did Sony do this because they're holding cards against their chest, or they don't have any cards at all? And I'm starting to think they don't have any cards at all.
Yeah.
Like, yes, there's enough faith in their history of them to deliver something at some point, but they're like, are you holding the cards close to your chest? You're like, oh, I'm not holding any cards at all. We had fucking nothing. So a state of like these, and they said because their current marketing machine is be quiet. Like yes, they be quiet until you have something to show. That I appreciate, right? I like that. The state of plays of just really focusing on one thing, awesome. Because admittedly, Xbox, Microsoft have done a ton of shows recently. All of them have been really boring, to me personally. And even then, like, there's no like the frequency of announcements, does not make them better. Deathloop is exactly that point.
Yeah.
So would I like them to like? I don't mind because the 12-month showcase is essentially them running their own E3, right? Not a bad thing if they can deliver in that showcase. Now I'll admit we've had a whole pandemic and we still are in a pandemic throughout this, and that has drastically affected near all of their studios except for Insomniac apparently. You know what I mean? So I understand that there is that. And the idea of sprinkle your announcements throughout the year, otherwise you are doing exactly what E3 was doing, so it means nothing for you to not attend them.
Yeah.
You know, like you have control over the message. That's the joys of these digital delivery platforms. Control the whole year.
Yeah.
Don't control a fucking random September. Control a whole year. Deliver what you can. Make them specific. Like I said, like have them be like, hey, this is our independent one. You know, or at least have some banger in you know, I hate that expression, but like have one standout, even at the back end of everything. Like to their credit, they have been great at telling us what to expect and what not to expect. Right? But in this showcase, they said, don't expect PSVR 2. That was it. So that leads open. Like they said, hey, expect a couple of announcements from our first parties. That is what they need to do. Yeah, and sorry, Shane brings up a good point. With Xbox rocking up in June and doing showcase and then doing stuff at Game Awards. Yeah, Sony have eliminated themselves from every other possible showcase, unless it's their own state of play, unless it is their own thing. And like that's great if they're choosing to control the message and like we're doing our own thing because we want to own the conversation. So right now, most people would be like, oh, well, the showcase didn't deliver in a couple of ways, but we know that in March when they do when they do their next state of play, are they going to deliver? Are you confident that will happen?
No,
I'm not. I'm not at all. Like I'm a diehard PlayStation fan, right? I should be jerking the dick of this conference right now. Like I said, my love for this brand, my love for PlayStation as the games they release, the studios that they have, is tattooed on my arm. And here I am going, we should be a little worried. Or we should be, worried is probably a bit too much. We should be wary. We should be wary in the direction that this company is going. That's just where I'm at. So look, I hope, Shane was wanting me to rant. I hope this technically was a big old rant, I guess. I didn't really get angry. I didn't really scream. I just brought up a bunch of points and I said it firmly. Have I been cohesive? Have I been coherent, Max?
Yeah. You've definitely swayed me a little bit, so.
Yeah. That's because I'm just a good man with words.
Good man with words. I can speak good.
I could do Englishes. All right, let's move it on.
All right, quick bits, Ryan.
Also, let us know what you think of the showcase. Yeah.
The PS5 Pro may come as early as 2023, according to rumor. God of War's Tchia is shorter than Resident Evil's Lady Dimitrescu.
Oh yeah, Tchia, like their God of War. He's a big, tall fucking unit.
Death Stranding final trailer was released this week, cut by Kojima himself, filled with spoilers, only if you know what's going on in the game.
Yeah.
And Hellraiser has arrived in Dead by Daylight.
And we should also add into those quick bits as well. PlayStation have picked up PlayStation Studios. They've added PlayStation Studios. They've added Firesprite, a 250 team employment team.
Yeah, they are bigger than their other two UK studios. What was it? London Studio and
Media Molecule combined. So their previous experience is Playroom, which was the built-in game for PS4, the Playroom VR, and there was something else they worked on it as well.
Apparently, they've also done heaps of collaboration with PlayStation Studios.
Yeah, before. Which makes sense. They might be a good support studio, but which is kind of cool. Look, the PS5 Pro, are you fucking kidding me? Like, we barely have games that are needed for the PS5. and you want to make a look, I'm a sucker and I'll buy that shit in an instant. However, but like, you barely have a reason to buy a PS5. So in 2 years, they want you to buy a new one? Get the fuck out of here. Fuck out of here.
Ryan, day one, buys one.
Yeah, but I have the benefit of like, I'll make it for content.
Yeah.
But yeah. Cool. All right, here are the top 10 best-selling PS5 games for the 5th of September. PS4 games, best-selling games, whatever. Fucking number 10, Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales. Number 9, F1 2021. Number 8, Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Number 7, God of War. Number 6, Marvel Spider-Man. Number 5, Need for Speed Heat. Number 4, Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. Number 3, Gran Turismo Sport. Number 2, Red Dead Redemption 2. And number 1, unsurprisingly, Grand Theft Auto 5.
Games coming this week. We have Deathloop coming to PlayStation 5 September 14th. We have Aragami 2 coming to PS4 and PS5 September 17th. Toem PS5 September 17th. Nexomon PS4 and PS5 September 17th, and Tales of Iron PS4, PS5 September 17th. Deathloop obviously being the standout there.
Yeah, pretty much. All right, well, let's send this fucker. We've taken up so much of your time as it is. Thank you so much for joining us as always in this extra long, passionate version of For the Players. Really appreciate it. And yeah, go check out Max's, because we've name dropped it like more times than Deathloop. The question box with Shane. Go check it out. Magic_cast.
Oh, that's great. Well, everyone, this PlayStation conversation happens every Monday morning at 8 a.m. on podcast services, including Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and 9 a.m. on those YouTubes. If you'd like to take part in future conversations with us, come and check out our socials. Facebook, Discord, Instagram, and Twitter. All of those links can be found in the description below.
If you want to join the conversation as it happens, head over to twitch.tv/thepopcultures, where you can watch us record this show live. We can jump in the chat and become part of the show. If you want to support the show, you can. Tell your friends, tell your family about this PlayStation pod. If you are on podcast services, be sure to give us a 5-star rating and a written review. If you are on YouTube, be sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment below. I endeavor to answer every single comment. If you want to support us financially, you can at patreon.com/thepopculturist, as well as our merchandise store, popculture.com/shop, where you can buy shirts and other assorted shit with our logos on it. But until next week, we'll hopefully be less lengthy. I'm Ryan Betson.
I'm Waffles.
Fuck. And that was For the Players. Are we really going chicken and waffles tomorrow? Because I think we should make it happen.
Yeah, sure. I'll see what I can do.